Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. I am super excited and thrilled to have what I came to find out another Midwest boy here on the show. He's the co-founder of Big Brand Ventures, Brandon T. Adams. Welcome to the show. We're super excited to have you here.
Hey, glad to be here, and I always love talking to fellow Midwesterners.
Yeah, this is awesome. I'm super hyped. And, for our listeners, we were just chatting a little bit before we hopped launching the podcast here. So super excited to share Brandon T. Adams' story and how he's helping people, just really scale their businesses. So maybe I always just kind of start with your origin story. Maybe just tell a bit about your background, the things you've done that have led up to where you are right now.
Yeah, so origin story is from Iowa. I grew up in Northeast Iowa, town of 700 people, Carnival, Iowa, and I grew up in the ice business. So you think of some people like ice. What is that business? My dad was in the packaged ice business, wholesale distributor. So you think of bagged ice. In the Midwest, they have Arctic Glacier ice, and they have like Home City and different distribution outlets. It's bagged ice that you would use. You'd buy at a convenience store, and then you would put in your drinks. That was the business I was in for a good part of my life. Since I was a kid, I was with my father, and we would have trucks and routes and everything. I would ride with my father in the ice business and throw bags down to him like when I was like 5 years old. And so that was my beginning. And so that was my early sales, selling ice for a living. And so I say I was born an entrepreneur. It was a part of me. My dad was always an entrepreneur, trying to make money, flipping things and selling. Fun thing he used to do is he still does today is sells airboats. So he
Oh,
would
really?
buy an airboat. You call it like a fan boat. It's got a big fan in the back and it pushes them on water. They have them down in like Florida. He, I think in his career has bought and sold maybe 40 airboats.
Huh.
And so I got to just soak up from a young age business. And so fast forward, I went to college, went to Iowa State University. I wasn't the smartest kid. Really focused on the wrong things and maybe dealing the wrong things. And so I got a 1.68 GPA while there, and I was like struggling. And I share this story because it really led me to everything I did today. We all have these moments, experiences. I was failing speech comp class, and to get extra credit, I would always go to the teacher, "Hey, I need to pass this class. What do I do?" And he said, "You got to go to a guest speaker class and provide a report after." I did it, and I went to this class, and he was like, the speaker, his name was Cactus Jack Berenger.
Huh.
And I'm like, Cactus Jack, who is this guy? And he had done a deal on Shark Tank. And this is when Shark Tank first came out.
Okay.
And so Cactus Jack was an Iowa boy too, from Ames, Iowa, but he made millions of dollars selling products on infomercials. And he was
Okay.
known for the body jack. He had a workout machine, but he had this arm wrestling machine that he made millions of dollars worth back in the day.
Huh.
And then he had this one shot cleaner that he made tens of millions of dollars worth in the 90s. And so I was so fascinated by this guy, this millionaire. Like, how did he do this? He's from Iowa. I'm from Iowa. Well, I sat in the front row, and two things happened that day that changed my life. One is he led me to a book. He said, "Hey, go read this book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill."
Uh-huh.
And so that was one thing I did. And then two, he showed this video on the screen, and he showed like a sizzle reel, but it showed him doing a deal with Kevin Harrington and Barbara Corcoran on Shark Tank.
Sure.
And so I'm like, who's this Kevin Harrington guy? And I'm like, oh, that guy, I don't know what it is. I'm going to do business with him one day.
Uh-huh.
And so fast forward, I was 20 at the time, I think, when I saw that. I ended up reading the book, Think and Go Rich, and it changed how I thought. I
Hmm.
realized it didn't matter where I was at. It didn't matter my 1.68 GPA. It just mattered if I really wanted something in life, I could get it if I surrounded myself with the right people. And so I had a burning desire. And so I knew I had to seek out guidance. I ended up hiring Cactus Jack as a mentor. This is
Oh.
when I didn't have any money. I remember throwing down $10,000 cash, and everybody thought I was insane and thought this was a scam. But that was life changing for me. So I got him as a mentor. And distantly, what happened is after a few years, I ended up getting connected to Kevin Harrington. And so that was kind of the beginning of my journey. Now that was 10, 12, 13 years ago, whatever that was, reading the book. And what ended up happening for me, and I'll try to keep it short because I want to really get into the deep of this, is I eventually started building my brand online. This is before you called it personal branding. I was just
Sure.
marketing myself, videos on Facebook, Instagram, posting content, creating content online. And and so I started to find myself, build my own personal brand. And so I was back in the day, I was a crowdfunding expert. I helped people raise money online through Kickstarter, Indiegogo. And then after really getting good at that, I helped a couple influential people raise money. I helped John Lee Dumas raise $500,000 for his
Huh.
book. I helped different product guys raise money on platforms. What I found out was a key component to raising money was a story that they told in the video that we created.
Mm.
And so fast forward, I ended up doing a crowdfunding launch with Kevin Harrington, and we launched a book called Put a Shark in Your Tank.
Huh.
And that book led to, it was called the Day with a Shark event, but now we call Put a Shark in Your Tank actually Shark Retreats. That led to one of our first deals where we had a $1 million product that went on to do over 150 million that we partnered
Wow.
with and took equity in. And so that was my beginning into that world. You see how the connections like Cactus Jack, Kevin Harrington, and to kind of fast forward to today, I really understood how to use video content, storytelling, my sales background, how to launch products, launch companies, build brands, and over the past 7 years, I would say 8 years, I formed a relationship with Kevin Harrington, and him, his son, and I have built out this company where we build and scale companies. So we've done TV shows together, we've won Emmys together, we've launched products, we've launched all kinds of products and companies, taking companies public. And so that kind of led up to me today with our company, Big Brand Ventures. A long journey. I try to short it because I could tell a million stories.
Sure.
But it started in the ice business. It started reading a book, and it started getting mentorship.
Oh, that's incredible. So so tell us about brand ventures. What do you guys do now? What is the business?
Big Brand Ventures. It is a mouthful. Big Brand Ventures is we take your company, we build, make your brand go big. And so for us, this is something we've already been doing. We have a track record of taking, between Kevin, Brian, and I, taking over 23 companies over $100 million in revenue. And I was involved, to be very transparent, I was involved with one of them, which was that product deal that we took out. But I've also been like, there's companies in our portfolio that we started with, and now they're valued at over 100 million. So Kevin, he's got 50 years of entrepreneurial experience. He has
Sure.
a lot more. One of his claim of fame is he took Celsius. He was on the founding board
Hmm.
members of Celsius, the energy drink. When they started, it was a couple $1 million business. Now I think it's at its peak was a $20 billion market cap. Last quarter, I think they did 350 million in sales. And so that is, we have the experience in growing business. We know the formula. And so for us, and just to back up a little bit, I started 8 years ago when we did that launch with Kevin. I started a company called Accelerate Media Group.
Uh-huh.
So we were scaling personal brands and businesses. So I had this business over here with a team, and then I had this business over here with the Harringtons, which was under KBAT Holdings, a portfolio company. And recently we said, okay, we want to like take this to a whole nother level. So we merged them all, and now we created Big Brand Ventures. So we have a team that has a vast experience, and our whole model is, if you're doing at least $1 million in revenue, most of the companies we're getting involved with are in the 4 to 10 million in top line revenue.
Okay.
We want to help you scale, because most people, when they get to that level, they know what they did to get to where they are,
Right.
but most of them say, hey, I don't know how to get it beyond this. What do I do? In most cases, they haven't done the right marketing. They don't understand their acquisition costs or all these things. So what we do is we come in and we partner with them. We take a piece of the company and profit share, and we help scale the business. And ultimately, we're looking for our next Celsius. And
Yeah.
so we built out a portfolio of companies. And our secret sauce of what we do at Big Brand Ventures is we provide our 50 years of experience, our brand and connections, our advisory and consulting, and our marketing approach. And then also sometimes our ability to bring capital to the table. Sometimes we invest our own money. And so that's what we bring to the company. And through that, we help them go to another level. It's a lot. I love it. I live for this stuff.
I can tell. I can see the passion.
Yeah. And so that's what Big Brand Ventures does. And it just, it's a load of fun. I never know what I'm going to see.
Yeah. Are you guys at Big Brand Breakfast, Big Brand Ventures? Are you just focused on product companies, or are you doing service companies too? Or kind of what's your ideal?
So it's a great question. I get that a lot. We do both. We have franchises. We have AI, tech. We have product companies. You name it. We have a large portfolio, and the really fine kind of point of that is they have to be in that they're doing millions in revenue, but most of them haven't gone beyond 10. And don't get me wrong, some of them we'll get involved with, but usually when a company is above 10 million, they're in the 15, 20, 30 million. They aren't looking for our help. And also it's harder for us to get the kind of appetite we want in ownership in the company. And so that's where they're at. They're startup phase, but not startup with no money. And so product side, yeah, we do a lot of products because my business partner, Kevin, pioneered the infomercial industry years ago. And so he's launched Tony Little's The Gazelle, the Ginzu knives, the juicer, you name it, he launched on infomercials. And so obviously we have a bunch of inventors pitching us. I was just last week, we were filming for a show, and it was Kevin and I and a guy named Rudy, and we took 30 pitches in one day. And then the first place winner got 10,000 cash. But we had anywhere from a heating and air conditioning business to a concept on a napkin to somebody that has a product that they want to get into Walmart. And so all kinds of things come to us. But yes, we love products. Products are really, we have a lot of expertise in that, but we also have expertise in the franchise space. And we have a franchise, we have ownership in called the Drip Bar, IV Therapy. And so when we got involved a couple of years ago, I think we had there was about 42 locations. Now I can't even keep track. I think there's probably 130 locations around the country. There's one actually in Edina.
Right.
And I haven't been to that location yet. I got to go, but I love it. It's IV therapy. You go in, you get whether your B vitamin shot, your IV therapy treatment, they have all kinds of things. And so we're in an industry like that, or we have products. There's a whole realm of companies in our portfolio, and we have a lot of experience in all of them, because really you take any company, there's a certain formula to approach it. And it's okay. For one, we always ask, what is your customer acquisition cost? And most people don't even know that, because if you can figure out what your customer acquisition cost is and how to acquire that customer, it's a numbers game. So if I know that it costs me $85 to acquire a $150 customer, well, okay, how much more can I spend? I just put more money into acquiring more customers. But also, what's the lifetime value of a customer? We have a telemedicine business that we know it costs us $170, let's say, to acquire that customer. But they're on a monthly plan where it's, let's say, $99 a month. So we're losing money on the front end, but we know the lifetime value of the customer is $1,700. And so when you can figure out the acquisition costs, when you can get the acquisition costs down, it becomes a numbers game. And sometimes we can use that data to go raise capital. So the marketing's one side, our experience, our connections, and also the one really big part is the CEO and founder. So most times a reason why a company won't work, in my opinion, is the founder or CEO of the company, they got to where they are because they did what they did, but sometimes they won't get to their next level because they're so, what's the word? They are stubborn / they will not be open to coaching or like different thoughts on how to go to the next level, and they want to do it all themselves. They're control freaks. And because of that, they will never scale. And ultimately, when I try to find that out early on in the relationship before we even get involved, because otherwise we're wasting time. It'll never go because they will never actually, like, why would they even want us involved? Because they're never going to listen to us.
Yeah. No, that's so true. That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
How about any particular, I don't know, trends, opportunities you're seeing in the market that you personally or your team is most excited about?
You know, we live in a beautiful time in
Hmm.
business and entrepreneurship. I mean, you can literally, you can have a brand built overnight. And I'll give you, this is a random one, but like you look at the Haktua girl and she did one video. I know it's like random and funny what she said, but if you actually look deep into it, she did not want to be famous. She had no
Yeah.
intention. The only reason she did is because there was knockoffs leveraging what happened to try to make money.
Right.
And she created a brand for herself. And now she's making millions of dollars because she got eyeballs. And so you look at an example like that. There's one, you could literally post something online, and this is rare. Like it, most times it takes thousands of videos before that one happens, but
Yeah.
you can build a business overnight online. And so knowing that, for us, we get a lot of data with all the companies in our portfolio. And we know that if you understand how to get the right compelling offer and get in front of that audience, whether it's on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube or TikTok or wherever, and then you can acquire that customer. For us, there's trends and opportunities where in a period of time you can make millions of dollars just by capitalizing on that. And so
Uh-huh.
for us, I do believe brands are now are the future. If you have a brand, you have the keys to the kingdom. And so that's why we're all about focusing on building the brands, investing in the brands, but also people buy from who they like, trust, and know. As
Hmm.
we continue to develop in this digital world, the more you can build a loyal following, no matter what you sell, what you do, you can monetize it. And so that's one thing we look at, and we look at all the companies in our portfolio. They also, because we have ownership in them, they can supplement each other too. Like, hey,
Sure.
this company over here might be able to support this one and incentivize both of us. And so get online, get content. Podcasting is a beautiful way to do it. Um, Video content. I mean, I have a full in-house editing uh, person that manages social media content. I'm in LA next week. We're filming.
Uh-huh.
I have somebody follow me around. Like, content's king, because it's one thing to like, hey, say this is what I do and I'm good at this, but another thing to show it. Show people behind the scenes of how you do what you do. Show them how you grow businesses. Seeing is believing. So communicating that message effectively, but also to the right people. I want to
Uh-huh.
be seen
Uh-huh.
by every CEO that has a multi-million-dollar business that has a desire to go to nine figures.
Hmm. That's very good. How about any strategies that have proven most effective for identifying and capitalizing on those high growth opportunities?
You know, I think the biggest thing strategies. I think the biggest thing I go back to is acquisition costs and
Hmm.
understanding. Like, I'm just gonna spitfire, and maybe this will answer your question. Like, what I've noticed is a lot of the companies that have come to us, they actually don't do marketing.
Mm.
They've actually got to where they're at by pure grind and grit, which is amazing, but they have no idea how to market. And we are a marketing mindset first.
Uh-huh.
And because if you understand how to get your message to the masses, no different than my business partner did in infomercial days, put in and TVs in front of the world. Now the new TV is a phone.
Right.
And so once you understand marketing, you can really grow. But once you understand where your ideal customers are, and in this case, are they on Instagram? Are they on Facebook? Are they on YouTube? Are they at trade shows? Once you figure that out, then how can you acquire that customer? And then once you figure out the formula of acquiring that customer and what it actually costs you,
Hmm.
then at that point, it's a numbers game and a money game. So how can I just put more money into more systems and processes that take from, okay, let's say I'm getting a 3-to-1 return on ROAS on put $100 in, and then I acquire a customer and get 300 back. Okay, how do I put 1,000 in to get 3,000 back? How do I put 1 million in to get 3 million back? That's the game we play. And so you first have to identify where that customer is, what it costs you to get it, and then scale it from there. And so that's the biggest thing we look at. But it has to have sales too. Like, so many people come to us. Here's a mistake I see. People come to us and they always think they need the money. Always think they need the money. You know what they need? They need sales. Like,
Yes.
you're like, I need money. If I had an investor, no, I'm telling you right now, if you had sales and you understood your numbers, then the money will come, because I know where my money is going towards. I'll give you a really good story and example. A friend of mine, and we actually won some Emmys together. His name's Jeff Hoffman. He co-founded Priceline.com.
Okay, sure.
When he was creating Priceline.com, when they did the business, well, this is actually even back in he was the guy that invented the kiosk that, you print your ticket out.
Okay.
He had different airlines and he needed to raise capital. And his team said, we got to go get investors. We need to get investors. We go raise money, which obviously you raise money, you got to dilute your own equity pool. And so what he did is he went to, I think it was Delta, American Airlines. He went to them both. And he'd go to them and he said, hey, buy our product to install these in your airports. Well, they would always say, like, hey, when you have the product ready, we'll take it. Well, the problem is he needed the money to fulfill. Well, what he did is he created a bidding war. And he went and he said, hey, well, to American, hey, I'm going and talking to Delta. They're looking to put a advance on payment down to be first in line. I wanted to give you an option. The person that does the biggest bid is going to be first to get the product. Delta didn't want American. American didn't want Delta to be the first one. They're employees of a company that they didn't want to look bad or lose their job because they missed opportunity. So what did they do? They put a deposit down, which allowed Jeff Hoffman at the time to use that money to fulfill the product and fund. He didn't need to go raise more capital. And he built his business through cash flow. So I share that because go get your paying customers, use that data and cash flow to grow the business. Cash solves problems, sales solve problems. And then to make your business scale faster, go raise the capital. So you need sales. You have a sales problem, not a money problem. And so that's the biggest thing I see. And there's times and places to raise capital. It's different if you're doing like Zuckerberg did for Facebook. For him, he was doing the numbers game. He went to Peter Thiel and he said, hey, if you give me $5 million, I can already prove that I can get you X amount of users on a platform for free. Peter Thiel gave him the $5 million. You know the rest of the story. The rest is history. Peter Thiel made him billions and Zuckerberg made him a lot. And so he could prove the data to get that user on, but also he could prove the future of the monetization. You get 5 million, 10 million users on, and then eventually you have all those users, and then it's a marketing game. And hey, I can get that person to spend on advertising, and now it's a money printing machine. And so these couple stories here, like this is what somebody watching, listening right now, if you're looking to raise capital, this is what you got to think about. This is what an investor looks for. This is how you scale a business. It's a different kind of thinking.
That's brilliant. Very good. How about the flip? What would have been some of the biggest challenges you faced while scaling this or other businesses or even your portfolio companies?
So culture is a big thing. Building the right culture and team, because if the team doesn't like vibe, they're not working all cylinders. No different than I played football back in the day. If my football team, if I'm a guard and my quarterback doesn't have the confidence in the guard to protect him from getting hit and doesn't have the confidence to throw the ball to the receiver, it's not going to work. So for a team, you got to have the confidence in each person, each position, whether it's assistant, it's a salesperson, the account manager, the marketer. Every person needs to have confidence and belief in each other, but also you got to vibe on a cultural level, which helps the team really rise up. So that's one thing, but also systems and processes. I did a video on Instagram the other day about this, that I said, you look at, for example, let's say you have a coffee shop. I love coffee. Having a coffee right here, espresso actually, but you think of the person at the coffee shop. Let's say they own their own coffee shop. But let's say They are working the coffee shop. They're doing the espresso. They're making the coffee. They're doing the counting and everything else. That coffee shop will have a ceiling of what it can generate in revenue. And also, if that owner of that coffee shop is sick, that business makes no money.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the number one problem I see with businesses is they're not willing to step away, take themselves out of that scenario. They need to build a business that they can be gone on vacation. It won't miss a beat. And I'll give you, there's a book out there that everybody should read. My good friend, Brian Will, just wrote it. It's called The Invisible Multimillionaire. And I wrote the forward to it. And the concept of this whole thing is you have to create, for one, is how big a boat do you want? How big do you want to go? You don't necessarily need to go build a 9-figure business. Like for us, I always ask, what do you want to do with the business? They may be doing 4 or 5 million a year. If they only want to go to 10 million, I'm not interested because that's not upside. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just for me to get involved where it makes sense business wise, we need to see a bigger upside for us to get enough piece of the pie. Now, going back to that, how big a business do you want to build? That's a good question to ask yourself. And what does it mean for success for you and freedom and money? And so that's what the book talks about. But the other thing it talks about, which he tells a story of his own business. He owns, I think, 5 restaurants in Atlanta. And for him, he said he goes to his restaurants and most of the people don't even know he's the owner. And he does that very specifically. He doesn't want them to know he's the owner. He doesn't want them to come to him. He could be gone and they will run without him. And so the point is, going back to the coffee shop, how do you create a coffee shop system where you don't have to be the one doing all those things? You put an employee in place, you put a team in place and yes, you're going to get, in the beginning, you're not going to make as much. But then let's say I can net $100,000 from that coffee shop, and then I can duplicate it, franchise it, and have 50 coffee shops. And then, okay, it scales from there. And so that's the number one problem. Not willing to replace themselves. For me, as a CEO, I started just doing sales, doing everything. I was doing coaching back in the day, all these different things. Now I am delegating. I am building culture. I am attracting talent. Talent helps grow companies. Hire people that will tell you what to do. Don't hire people for me to tell them what to do. And then I am working on the biggest deals possible. Like for us, we just did a big partnership with Go High Level, $1 billion company, and we're working with a company like that. So like that spent months to build that relationship and figure out how we could work together. And so you focus on, for me, focusing on the things that will move the needle at the highest level that only I can do, but also constantly figuring out how can I replace myself so then somebody else can be on just building the system. And for example, I could lose somebody in any position tomorrow, and as soon as they're gone, and I don't want that, but if they were gone, somebody below could replace that. And they know all the systems and processes that they have to implement. That's scaling the business and putting in place to last beyond you, the owner.
Very, very good. How about, you talked about culture. What are the cultures you try to instill, or the core values you try to instill in your organizations?
Yeah. So I'm getting a lot of mentorship from who just came on the show, Matt George. He's the president of our company.
Yeah.
Because I can't sit here and tell you I'm the expert in that, because he was formerly a CEO of a company with 500 employees. He was at Children's Home in Peoria, Illinois. And when you have 500 employees, that's a different kind of culture you're trying to build, right? And so he's been helping mentor me in building culture. But from what I know, with say 25 plus employees that we have now, I know that, for one, it's leading by example. I know it's compassion. And one thing one of my mentors told me once is, ask everybody in your team what it means to be a success for them and what they want in life. And then you find a way to help them achieve it within your organization. And so it's not just about, oh, let's grow the business, let's scale and make all the money. Let's say, what do they want? And how do you help them achieve that goal within your organization, within your dream? And so that's one thing. And then also trying, like, I'm big on FaceTime, and especially in this virtual world, we're remote all over, but we do events. Like we're doing 3 events a month come January, where we do retreats that are called like a shark retreat, where
Uh-huh.
people come in, they pitch us. That's a time for us with some of our team members to connect, to do dinner, to find ways to support each other, to strategize. So having one-on-one time, doing our team meetings, doing our calls, setting fun little challenges for people, but also just checking in and letting them know you care. But the little things too, like, hey, I noticed you did this. Great job. Applauding them, even in like in a Slack channel of what they're doing. And also being very clear what your mission is. At Big Brand Ventures,
Uh-huh.
we're scaling businesses. We together are working together to scale companies, not only help them generate more revenue in their business, but to help them impact the families of the employees in their company, to help them make the world a better place. And that's what we're focused on. We are scaling businesses as a team.
Yeah.
And so we're really driving home that mission. And I'm constantly asking like refinement of who we are and where we're going. The more that everybody on that team understands that, where they're going, what the mission is, the quicker you're going to go there. And so that's what I can share from my experience of where I'm at. I can't sit here and give experience from,
Uh-huh.
there's people out there that have a lot more employees and team that they've understood it way more than I do.
How about capitalism, our free market system here in America? How has that embracing the free market system and being in America, the most capitalist society in
I,
history, benefited you?
here, I love that have the ability of the American dream.
Hmm.
And people can say, "Oh, America is it's." They can say what they want, but here's the thing: we live in the most free country in the world.
Yes.
I can walk on the street, and not worry if somebody's going to shoot me. Maybe in some places, but like I can live free, and I can start with no money at all. And if I'm willing to work my butt off and willing to play the long game, I can make millions of dollars. And that's the country we live in. And most people, I think, they just don't realize that it's possible, but it is. And so freedom is one thing. We have that. And knowing that, I believe in making a lot of money, but I believe doing good with that money. For
Uh-huh.
me, I want people to realize that you can build wealth. You can, whatever that number is for you, it's possible if you surround yourself with the right people and you work your ass off and you stick with it and you provide value to the world. And for me, I want to constantly find ways because I give back. Like I give in so many ways. And not just money, but also just time and energy. And I was speaking the other day, a few months back on stage, and just in the moment, I realized, I'm gonna raise some money for this cause. And I said on stage, uh, whoever donates $500 to this foundation, I'll do a group call. And I literally just off the cuff. And then I had one guy say, "What do I give for $5,000?" And I said, "Okay, you can have a couple hours of me. Come to me, and we'll do lunch." And I raised about 15 grand in a matter of a couple minutes,
Uh-huh.
just off the cuff, because people wanted to learn from me, and I donated my time, and it raised money for a cause. And so that's the kind of stuff. So I believe in capitalism. I believe in building wealth, but also I believe in doing good with that. Most people I know, I mean, yes, there's people out there that build wealth and they're maybe greedy and they don't want to give. For me, the people around me, they build wealth, but they do so much good with it. They give back. They raise money for charities. Like that's that's what I believe in. We live in a great country, and the amount of opportunity we have is endless. If you have a phone alone, you
Uh-huh.
have the ability to build a multi-million-dollar business. And so I'm grateful. I'm so blessed.
That's awesome.
Everybody else here should be too.
Yeah. How about advice to young entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, maybe directly to your expertise, like to build your personal brand? Any advice you
Yeah.
give right
I
on
would,
point on that?
to be very specific, I would tell them to create daily videos, posting videos online, sharing their journey, and whatever their expertise is or what they want to become an expert in, start communicating that expertise and value to the world. The beginning, I was sharing how to raise money through crowdfunding. I was providing value of helping people raise money through crowdfunding. And that built my brand in crowdfunding. And then I told the world about how I helped them with telling their story through video content. And then I made money that way. And then now to who I am today. And so by just creating content online with your phone, You don't need a professional camera. You can literally start with a phone, communicate who you are, what you do, and how you help people, and post those videos on your Facebook, your Instagram, your LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever platform, and do it consistently and do it daily for the next 2 or 3 years, and you will see what it'll do for you. You don't plan on doing it for a couple months, just seeing a big success. Do it for 2 3 years, and I promise you, you're gonna see so much opportunity. And so that's the quickest thing. But another thing, more just kind of a general, is be a person of value.
Hmm.
If you can make people's lives easier, people will pay for that. Another one is find somebody who already has achieved what you want to achieve.
Uh-huh.
Find a way to make them money and add them value, and then find a way to get into business with them. One of the
Yes.
first things I did is I helped a couple influential people raise money back in my crowdfunding days. I helped a podcaster named John Lee Dumas raise $500,000 in a month for his book, The Freedom Journal. And afterwards, he was a great testimonial for me, but also he brought me on his podcast. By going on his podcast, it helped me generate some of my first big clients.
Uh-huh.
But from that track record, it got the attention where I did my first big crowdfunding launch with Kevin Harrington. And then I found a way to just help bring deals and money his way, which made me money. And
Mm-hmm.
then now, almost 10 years later, I'm the CEO of the organization, and we're all making money together. And so when you can bring massive value to certain individuals, they will not want to ignore you. They will want you to be in their business because they'll make money, you'll make money. And that's the quickest way to the top, in my opinion. And when I say quick, it's not like right away in 1 2 years, but most people overestimate what they can do in 1 to 2 years, but they underestimate what they can do in 5 to 10 years. And
Mm-hmm.
so when you think of what I can do in the next 5 years, 10 years, it changes everything.
Oh, that's excellent. How about, we talked about just doing good. How do you think about building legacy, through your business ventures? If you're thinking
Yeah.
about that at this point.
Yeah. Well, funny thing, we actually have a fund called the Legacy Fund.
Yeah,
Um,
perfect.
we have a fund that $100 million fund that invests in businesses, which is a little different model where it takes a majority of the business, and our partner's a hedge fund guy. But so we do have a legacy fund. But going back to legacy, for me, I mean, I could say that if I die tomorrow, I have lived my life to the fullest. I hope I live another 100 years, whatever it is. But to be honest, like, I'm living my best version of myself. When I do whatever, I meet my maker, I do want to just look back and just be proud that I lived my life to the fullest, but also made an impact on everybody, whether this conversation we're having today or somebody I meet at the coffee shop later today. I want people to know that I made an impact or a positive influence on their life, even if it's 5 minutes in their presence or a few years in their presence. And so that's one thing I want people to know, but I also want them to know that anything's possible. I'm a kid from a small town in Iowa, and I grew up as a humble, hardworking entrepreneur. If somebody like me can go off and do things that I've done, then you can too. So I want to be able to show people, it doesn't matter where you come from, what your disadvantages are, how much money's in your bank account. If you are willing to work and put in the effort and do good, you can build wealth. And so that's what I want my legacy to be. And also, I want to build massive wealth to provide something that lives beyond me and does good for the world.
Mm, very good. And maybe that kind of leads into the last question here. What's your personal definition of success? And you can take that any route you want.
Yeah, success. We did a whole TV series on this called Success in Your City back in the day. Literally traveled the country on a mission to find the meaning of success. And here's what I found out is success is different to everybody, and it changes. I am 34 years old. When I was 18 years old, success was trying to get the girl.
Uh-huh.
When I was 21 years old, I was trying to make enough money to get through the next month. 25 years old, I was very focused and driven and just making a lot of money. And at 29 years old, I was almost bankrupt, and I was trying to figure out how to get my way back, where I I could get out of that hole. At 34, I'm in a much different place. And for me, success to me is being the best I can be in all areas of my life. I don't want to compare myself to others in my health, in my finances, in my relationship with my wife, with my family, and also as a businessman, a CEO, to be the best I can be, to empower everyone around me, but build massive wealth. And what I'm looking to do is Eminem says, look in the mirror and beat
Uh-huh.
yourself.
Uh-huh.
Every day I'm looking to beat myself and mastering every area of my life. And that when I do that through my discipline, I am happy, I am fulfilled, and I am living my own version of success. So that's what it means to me.
No, that's incredible. Well, good. Well, Brandon T. Adams, this has been an absolute pleasure. So really appreciate
Thank
your
you.
insights. This was awesome. And we'll share all your socials and everything so people can get in touch with you for all of the offerings that you have. But any parting words before we end here today?
Yeah, well, thank you for listening. You can find me on social media at Brandon T. Adams everywhere. You can check us out at bigbrandventures.com. I will share this quote by Napoleon Hill that I think about every single day. Whatever the mind conceives and believes, the mind achieves. But also, whatever you think about the most is what you become. You first got to conceive it and then believe it, and then you will achieve it.
Excellent. Well, Brandon T. Adams, thank you so much. Really appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, man.
All right.